Alright guys, I don't know why I waited for so long to make this kind of video. Maybe it's because, I needed to get I need to digest my thoughts and opinions first before giving an actual, rating and, whatever, a sagacious or well thought out, opinion on this particular movie, and that is Star Wars The Last Jedi. Of course, any given opinion, even if it's the most gray area opinion of a Star Wars movie, there will always be that Star Wars edgelord that says stuff like,
You don't agree with me? You're not a true fan. You like Disney's sequel trilogy? You're such a Disney shill. You didn't like Rogue One? You're a Disney hating asshole.
which by the way, I did like Rogue One, but didn't love it. Still give it a 7 out of 10. I just think the characters could have been a lot better, but we're not here to talk about Rogue One, we're here to talk about The Last Jedi. And sometimes The Force Awakens, but as I hate everything said, which he is which he is right when he says this, that if there's anything I hate more than anything on this beautiful planet, it's Star Wars fans. And I agree with him. I know I may disagree with him vehemently on bronies and My Little Pony, but he's right in this sense. Every time when nothing goes these stupid, entitled Star Wars fan elitists' way with their dumbass fan theories, example, Snoke is Mace Windu, one of the dumbest theories I've ever heard in my life, along with Rey being a Kenobi or Rey being the daughter of Palpatine. That is some of the dumbest theories I've ever heard in my life. Now that I've got that stuff out of the way, what did I like about The Last Jedi? Well, the acting was purely believable. The cinematography was iconic. The many scenes were massively jaw-dropping because, especially the beginning sequence of The Last Jedi alone was jaw-dropping, with that Dreadnought's purely dramatic entrance to our eyes. Okay, that didn't really come out right, but whatever. My jaw dropped all the way down to the ground as soon as I saw that Dreadnought, and then Poe Dameron, of course, mistakenly engaged the Dreadnought and had a desire to take down that whole entire Star Destroyer with the bomber fleet in the result of getting the entire Resistance bomber fleet destroyed, only to end up getting demoted to captain by General Leia, or Princess Leia, whatever you want to call her. There were a lot of stuff in The Last Jedi that I found seriously out of whack, like Princess Leia in space was really over the top, but hey, we at least got to see her finally use her force powers when she needed them. And Luke milking a space cow was too much information. Like, did I really need to see that? Come on. And Rose's cheesy line about how she saves the ones she loves instead of fighting the ones she hates, that's cheesy. As soon as she was about to save Finn from sacrificing himself to save the Resistance, I thought he was gonna pull what, I forgot what that character's name was in Independence Day. I thought he was gonna do that, the "Hello boys, I'm back" scene. Until it was, interfered by Rose. I mean, Rose, despite that casino subplot, her character didn't annoy me all that bad whatsoever. She's light centuries better than Jar Jar Binks, and don't give me the whole, "Oh, but Jar Jar Binks at least served a purpose in Attack of the Clones. He created the Empire." Okay, for one thing, how is someone that dumb as hell even get position in government? And two, that was just used for plot conveniences. How is he even remotely fit to give him Palpatine emergency powers. That makes no fucking sense! Okay, we're not here to talk about Attack of the Clones either. But hey, your comparison to Rose with Jar Jar Binks, invalid. Because Rose is not even remotely close to fit as a comedic relief. Or comic relief. Oh, fuck. Slip of the tongue again. But hey, as I was saying, the acting was amazing and purely believable. The strongest acting and sequences was when Rey, Kylo Ren, and Luke Skywalker were on screen. The fact that Luke threw his lightsaber over his head off the cliff, that was unexpected, but it did make sense because Rey bringing that lightsaber to him haunted him about the past that he ultimately caused and inflicted upon Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren. A lightsaber passed down generation to generation meant nothing to a master of the Force. And I like it. It wasn't that bad. Luke Skywalker's at first hesitation to train Rey into the arts of the Jedi, and then suddenly changed his mind just because of R2-D2's message of Princess Leia from A New Hope. That was really powerful. It meant a lot more than it did back then. It really did. I love how they also told two sides of the story of what happened that led to the creation of Kylo Ren. In Kylo Ren's point of view, Luke Skywalker looked like a madman ready to strike down and kill Ben Solo. But in Luke's point of view, Luke was trying to sense the dark side within Kylo Ren, and then saw within his mind that there was going to be a future far beyond worse than he ever imagined it would have been. So Luke Skywalker, out of a pure impulse, ignited his lightsaber, but as soon as he ignited his lightsaber, he was at first hesitant to strike down Ben Solo in an effort to keep history from repeating itself, just like the Galactic Civil War. He didn't want the suffering inflicted upon the galaxy like it was 30 years prior to the original sequel trilogy. And I kind of love that story arc. It adds a new layer to his character, that he makes mistakes. All characters make mistakes. Rey as well. A lot of people like to turn a blind eye to Rey's mistakes, but her mistakes are present. Which I'm not going to go too deep into Rey's mistakes now, but because I'm here to talk about the full scope of what happened between Kylo Ren and Luke, which I already did. And Luke mentioned that Kylo Ren left with a handful of his students, and I'm assuming that handful are the 6 dudes you see in Rey's vision in The Force Awakens, which they did not show in The Last Jedi. So because they're saving us something special, I think. That's what I assume. I do absolutely assume that the rest of the handful of Kylo Ren's Jedi classmates or whatever are the Knights of Ren, organized by Supreme Leader Snoke. Also, another thing I loved about The Last Jedi is that as soon as Kylo Ren said that he saw Rey's parents, everyone was on their seat getting too excited. Everyone was hoping, well, not really hoping, but very curious to see to know what Rey's parents really are after all these ridiculous amount of fan theories that were made on YouTube and other social media sites. They were really wondering. But as soon as Kylo Ren told her, bam, her parents are nobodies. traded Rey in for drinking money and are now 6 feet under on Jakku, if I remember correctly. I think that's what Kylo Ren said. Because what Maz Kanata said to Rey in The Force Awakens should have been clear to the audience. The longing you seek is not behind you, it is ahead. Whoever you're waiting for on Jakku, they're never coming back. Rey's parents are not important anymore, at least. Rey's parents are not important to the story. Rey does not have to come from greatness to be great. Greatness coming from nothing is more powerful than greatness coming from greatness. Not everything has to be connected. And thank fucking goodness that Rey is not connected to anybody. Because the forced connections were already enough. Anakin building C-3PO, Yoda knowing Chewbacca, and so on. It was already enough with all these forced fucking connections in the prequel trilogy. Thank fucking goodness that Rey is not connected to anybody. Well, a lot of you could bring up the whole Luke and Leia being brother and sister, which I do technically agree that it was kind of a forced connection, but that was kind of one of the first forced connections in the Star Wars saga, but then it came really out of hand in the prequel trilogy. And thank goodness the sequel trilogy no longer has the whole midichlorian horseshit, no longer has the Chosen One bullshit, no longer has any forced connections, no longer has the virgin birth garbage. Thank goodness the sequel trilogy makes much more sense with Rey. Thank fucking goodness. Phew! Because, face it, a lot of you people complain about fan service, but to tell you all the truth, if Rey were really the established daughter of Luke Skywalker, that, in my book, would really be pandering to fan service. That, in my book, is pander to fan service and fan appeasement. Because to say, for Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams to say, or direct, or write, or whatever, that Rey is the daughter of Luke would be pure fan service. It also wouldn't make any sense either, because why in the name of fuck would Luke leave his own daughter on a desert planet in the first place? That makes less than 0 sense. And I'm so fucking glad that she's not connected to anybody. Unless if Kylo Ren was lying, and unless if J.J. Abrams decides to twist it around and basically say, lol, JK, Kylo Ren was lying, Rey really is the daughter of Luke, then whatevs. But I would at least hope that they would explain why Luke would leave her on a desert planet. Just my observation on it, but hey, I'm not here to change anyone's opinion. This is just my point of view. Don't take my point of view of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Make your own valued criticisms of The Last Jedi, or your own sagacious and well thought out opinion of The Last Jedi. Don't take everything I say for it. One of my other favorite scenes was by a character I didn't even like so much in the first place, Admiral Holdo. I at first was siding with Poe that she was actually a traitor, indeed. A lot of people view it as, like, women are these intelligent leaders and men are scrawny and impulsive, stupid, moronic assholes. Well, I kind of viewed it more like a, with Admiral Holdo's case, I viewed it more as like a asshole teacher treating a flyboy like shit. The best star pilot in the Resistance, at least. Until one of the best scenes in the entire franchise, Admiral Holdo light speeds into the First Order fleet. Visually, it was beautiful. it was absolutely fucking beautiful. A lot of people are gonna pull these stupid excuses out of their ass saying stuff like, well, why couldn't someone just lightspeed their cruiser into the Death Star? It's Star Wars. Get the hell over yourselves. Besides, the Death Star, it's unimaginably, massively bigger than the fucking Supremacy. The Super Star Destroyer didn't crashing into the Death Star didn't leave is no different than poking is no different than doing this to my face. The Death Star still remained intact after the Star Destroyer crash landed into it. Admiral Holdo's last resort as a sacrifice to save her Resistance heroes, I loved that a lot. Visually, it was stunning, and her heroic actions were absolutely badass. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Admiral Holdo's character, but what she did was fucking awesome. That is one of the best scenes I have ever seen in the entire saga. And don't give me... And spoiler alert for the people that have not seen The Last Jedi yet, this is a massive spoiler right here. I was hoping that Luke Skywalker wouldn't die, but... Sorry, still kind of sort of a little sick, but... They killed him off the way I would exactly wanted them to. I'm glad Luke Skywalker died the way he did. He died the way it began. In A New Hope, he looked at the twin sunset, dreaming of adventure, becoming more than he already is. And then he died looking at the twin suns on his island, dying as a legend. Well, not necessarily dying, but rather ascending to the Force, becoming one with the Force. I'm so glad he died the way he did. That's my favorite heroic death in the entire saga. I love that. That and Admiral Holdo's sacrifice, even though I don't really like Admiral Holdo's character all that much. Oh, which, by the way, another scene I didn't like was the Maz Kanata hologram scene, which felt kind of forced. It almost as if, like, hey, we don't have a lot of stuff for Maz Kanata to do, so what can we make her do? Oh, let's just, have her, tell her that there's a code breaker on Canto Bight. Okay, sounds good. And then after that, never appears again. It just kind of felt thrusted in there. Whatever the hell she was doing. But aside that, I still loved The Last Jedi, but my criticisms of The Last Jedi really don't take away from the fun factor. They don't make it unwatchable. It's nothing like the prequels, so don't even go there. You have to be the most sensational, moronic Star Wars fan to think that The Last Jedi's awfulness is comparable to the prequels. I'm not going to get too deep into that, so just watch Jenny Richardson, Heldo Greedo, I Hate Everything, and so on's videos, as I'm here to give my initial reaction. At my first viewing, I liked it a lot, but I was genuinely weirded out by a lot of shit, as I already mentioned at the beginning of this video. At first, when Leia was shot into space, I thought, well, me and my friend Zach at first thought, well, this is how they kill her off. But as soon as we saw that space dust moving around her, and as soon as we saw her pulling herself back to the cruiser, we went like, what in the name of fuck was that all about? But hey, it's nothing too problematic in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if we can excuse Anakin and Obi-Wan breathing on a fucking atmosphere full of exploding volcanoes and lava where it's massively harmful to a human being's lungs, then why not excuse that? Same difference. At least they tell us it was the Force that saved Leia. Anakin and Obi-Wan, on the other hand, No. What else did I like about the film? I liked the unpredictability it had. We didn't know that Luke would be so hesitant to train Rey into the arts of the Jedi Force. We didn't know that Snoke was gonna, spoiler alert, get killed this early in the trilogy. We did not know that we were gonna get a lightsaber fight sequence this time against those guards. And yes, I know General Grievous's guards in Revenge of the Sith, but when did we ever get a lightsaber fight against the Emperor's guards in Return of the Jedi? Never. So I loved that lightsaber sequence. One of the best, not lightsaber fights, but sword fights in cinema history. And for all you people saying that Rey is a Mary Sue because of that, well, take a note of this. She got a scar on her shoulder, and he struggled to even take down one guard of Snoke, while Kylo Ren, on the other hand, was destroying 3 of them at once. That should say something that Kylo Ren is more powerful than Rey, despite the fact that Kylo Ren lost the fight, but that was because he was unbalanced. Snoke even said that he was unbalanced and had too much of Han Solo's heart. And boy, which speaking of Kylo Ren, I also love the fact that he was hesitant to kill his own mother. That adds another layer to Kylo Ren's character. He was already emotionally unbalanced after killing his father, and he didn't want to make it worse by killing his own mother, Leia. He really didn't want to make it much worse for himself. A lot of people's criticisms of The Force Awakens is that it was way too similar to A New Hope. Well, you guys asked for something new, and you got the Canto Bight sequence, which is, I would agree, the weakest part of the film. I don't necessarily dislike it, it's just I didn't get too much investment into it. Maybe later when I grow onto it I'll start to appreciate it more, but I still appreciate its creativity and its message that there is one business in the galaxy that'll get you richer than anybody in the world, and that would be an all-out full-blown war. I like the message, and I just did. With my first viewing and second viewing, I didn't find myself too lost within the film, especially when there were 2 shots of 2 CGI characters that I found rather really out of whack, which I'd rather not think about at the moment. Kylo Ren, I now love more than ever than I liked him in The Force Awakens. Rey, love her even more this time. Well, not love as in romantic, but you get the point. However, here's a little fun fact. You know those lightsaber moves that Rey was doing in The Last Jedi? According to Kathleen Kennedy, I think it was, it took most actors that did those lightsaber tricks many days to master them, but as for Daisy Ridley, same difference, but whatever. It only took her a few hours, so that pretty much debunks the whole Mary Sue nonsense. Rey and Daisy Ridley are just naturals. Daisy Ridley is the natural at acting and the lightsaber moves, and Rey is just a natural with the Force. So please, do not call Rey a Mary Sue just because your precious prequels aren't as consistent and fun as the sequel trilogy. Don't be crying about Rey being not who you want her to be just because your precious midichlorian chosen one prophecy nonsense is completely absent from the sequel trilogy. It was never, nothing like that was ever established in Star Wars in the first place. The Force is an energy created by all living things. penetrates us and binds us and brings the galaxy together. The Force has always been there. It's not. You don't have to get it from lineage. It's always been there. That's the way it used to be, which is what I liked about that final scene with that kid Force catching the broom. I love where this sequel trilogy is going. And to have it end with the kid looking up at the stars, the Millennium Falcon driving into hyperspace was great. I loved that a lot. Because the message of that ending was that any dream of yours is possible, and that's what that kid dreams of being. A Force sensitive, a Jedi, if he could become one. If they're going to do something with that kid in episode 9, which maybe they will, maybe they won't. It would be interesting to see. I mean, a lot of people are complaining that Snoke was killed off way too early, but hey, if he was killed off in episode 9, you all would be crying and whining about how they rehashed Return of the Jedi. But as for The Last Jedi is far from an Empire Strikes Back remake. The only similarities it has is good guys getting handed over to the bad guys, DJ and Lando, antagonist walkers, Luke training sequence with Rey, and Yoda training sequence with Luke, and that's it. That's it. I'm not going to get into the whole analysis of why The Last Jedi and Empire Strikes Back are not the same movie, as it's common sense this time to know that they're not remakes whatsoever. Even the haters themselves know that it's not The Last Jedi is not a remake whatsoever. It's an original story and a unique spin on things, full of unpredictability. And as for one of the final sequences where Luke trolls Kylo Ren, Luke makes a projection of himself of the last time they saw, of they meaning Leia and Ben Solo, a projection of the last time they saw Luke, but Luke may have had that blue lightsaber, but that's all a part of his imagination. Strike me down in anger and I'll always be with you. I failed you, Ben. I'm sorry. Every word you said in that sentence was wrong. The rebellion is reborn and I will not be the last Jedi. A lot of amazing quotes from Luke. Which, speaking of amazing quotes, I feel like I have to say this. I have to talk about this as well. When a Yoda makes a cameo appearance, it's great. I loved it. They used puppet Yoda and not the garbage CGI Yoda this time. Greatest teacher failure is, have you read the books? Page turn they're not. It's just a bunch of crap anyway, according to Yoda. Lost Ben Solo we have, lose the girl we must not. Great quotes said by Yoda yet again. I love the way they handled Yoda. And oh yeah, one final complaint. The shirtless Kylo Ren scene, a lot of jokes were splattered everywhere around The Last Jedi, which is something I would have let past and overlooked, but for the Kylo Ren shirtless sequence, that kind of fell out of whack, because first we went from Rey asking if Kylo Ren had a towel to cover up his man boobs, to all the way to Rey basically crying to a gut-punching sequence of Rey crying, asking why Kylo Ren killed his own father, Han Solo. It makes the tone on and off, which tone is really important within a Star Wars film. My problems is mostly with the technician stuff and a lot of some either over-the-top, ridiculous moments, cheesy lines, or some scenes that really didn't need to be in there in the first place. Or humor that rather ruined the tone of a specific scene, which I just talked about. The humor was done well for the most part, especially with Poe tooling with General Hux and the Luke saying, "Where are you from? Jakku? No. Oh, let me rephrase that. Where are you from? Nowhere. No one's from nowhere. Jakku. Okay, that is pretty much nowhere." I chuckled a ton at that sequence. But I loved the humor when it was done well, but when it wasn't done well, it was when Kylo Ren was shirtless at the wrong time. Why did he need to be shirtless at that specific moment? Why did he need to be shirtless? Why did we need that line from Rey at that specific scene? That kind of ruined the tone. That kind of ruined the gut-punching sequence. But hey, despite that gripe, and it is a pretty big gripe, I still had a ton of fun watching The Last Jedi 3 times. Liked it, but kind of weirded out the first time, but still blown away nonetheless. Second time, I loved it. Third time viewing, I absolutely love it now. But hey, it's if you liked it, that's cool. If you didn't like it, well, it happens. We have all experienced Star Wars movies we didn't like. I know I did. Just, if you want to discuss The Last Jedi with me, be civil and have fun. Discuss it in a sagacious and well thought out manner, and don't repeat yourself the same horseshit that was debunked billions of times over and over again. Just don't be a dick. That's all I ask. It's okay to like, love, dislike, hate, despise, loathe, meh, or whatever a Star Wars film. That's all I have to That's all I have to say about Star Wars The Last Jedi. There will probably be a more in-depth review of The Last Jedi once the Blu-ray comes out. Take care, everybody. Space out.